My parents said my inheritance should go to my brother because he needed it more. So I got a lawyer, took everything that was mine, and left them begging me for grocery money. Hey, Reddit. I don't usually post on here. I just scroll, read drama, and mind my business. But things at home went so sideways, I honestly didn't know where else to drop this. I used to think my parents just weren't great at showing love, like maybe they were old school or just emotionally weird. But nah, looking back, they were fully aware. They just chose who mattered. And it wasn't me. I'm the older brother, 28 male. My younger brother, Rayan, 25 male, has always been their favorite. Not just a little, like, oh, he's the baby of the family kind of thing. I mean full on royal treatment while I was treated like some unwanted tenant who owed them rent for existing. Let me start simple. When I was 13, I saved for 6 months cutting grass and helping a neighbor clean out their garage to build a custom gaming PC. I studied every part Reddit, YouTube, forums. Ended up building it myself. Nothing fancy, but it ran the games I wanted. I was proud. That tower was the only thing in the house that was mine. 2 weeks later, my brother starts complaining that his Xbox is too laggy. Throws a tantrum because he died in Fortnite. Next morning, a brand new Alienware rig shows up. Full RGB. Top specs. My parents are standing there like it's Christmas. I'm standing next to my secondhand Frankenstein setup, watching him boot up GTA 5 at triple my frame rate. I didn't even say anything. Just nodded and left the room. My dad had the audacity to tell me, "Don't compare, Sam. That's not healthy." Fast forward a few years, I'm 17, still working side gigs, saving for a car. Found a beat-up 2005 Civic on Facebook Marketplace. Paint was trash. Interior smelled like old fries. But I saw something in it. I spent all summer fixing it up. New tires, replaced the stereo, detailed it inside and out. It became mine. The first real thing I ever owned that nobody could take away. One Saturday, while I was working a morning shift at a local car wash, Rayon, who's 14 at this point, decides he wants to see how it drives. No license, no permission. Didn't even tell anyone. Just grabbed the keys and took it for a spin. By spin, I mean he tried to drift in the school parking lot, like he was in Fast and Furious, and wrecked the front end into a concrete post. I came home, saw the bumper hanging off, and just froze. My parents? They were more mad at me for leaving the keys out. "You should have been more responsible," my mom said, while babying Rayon with an ice pack and cookies. I lost the one thing I'd built with my own hands, and they grounded me for screaming at him. The kicker? 3 years later, they bought Rayon a brand new Mazda for graduation. He hadn't even passed all his classes. They called it a fresh start. I was working 40 hours a week while going to community college and taking the bus, and that was just normal in our house. Even after I moved out at 22 and got a full-time job in IT, I was still somehow responsible for helping them hold it together. My mom would call at 9 p.m. asking if I could help with groceries or send $200 to keep the lights on. My dad would act like I owed them, like I was just the investment finally paying off. Meanwhile, Rayon? Still living at home. No job. Streaming to 0 viewers on Twitch using gear I helped pick out. My old Elgato, my old mic, everything. I offered to help him actually set up a legit channel once, showed him how to run OBS properly, helped design a basic layout, and he told me, "Bro, you're killing the vibe. I don't want a job." Every time he failed something, they spun it into a mental health break. Every time I said no, I was heartless or acting better than everyone. When I got promoted and bought myself a used Supra, my dream car since I was a teenager, I didn't even tell them right away. I just posted a picture on Instagram. I knew if they saw it, they'd call. And they did. Next day, I get a message from my dad. "Your brother's really struggling. Letting him use the Supra could help him feel capable again." I thought it was a joke. I literally laughed when I read it. Then the calls started. My mom cried. Dad went full, "You wouldn't have that car without the roof we gave you." Rayon messaged me saying I'm selfish. This was 6 months ago. I blocked all 3 of them that night. I was done. No speech, no argument, just gone. They didn't even try to apologize. Instead, they started texting my uncle, then my cousin, told everyone I'd abandoned the family and turned my back after all they'd done for me. I started getting vague Facebook posts from extended family saying crap like, "Some people forget who raised them." Only one person reached out and asked what really happened. My cousin Jack. Solid dude. Always saw through their nonsense. When I told him everything, he said, "Good. You should have left years ago." He's the only one who actually stood up for me. Anyway, this was the point where I thought I could finally breathe. Start over. Focus on work, stack my savings, maybe invest or launch something small. Then my grandpa died, and everything changed. Because when the will got read, let's just say the golden child was expecting gold, and he got dust. I was working 40 hours a week while going to community college and taking the bus. And that was just normal in our house. Even after I moved out at 22 and got a full-time job in IT, I was still somehow responsible for helping them hold it together. My mom would call at 9 p.m. asking if I could help with groceries, or send $200 to keep the lights on. My dad would act like I owed them, like I was just the investment finally paying off. Meanwhile, Rayon, still living at home, no job, streaming to 0 viewers on Twitch using gear I helped pick out. My old Elgato, my old mic, everything. I offered to help him actually set up a legit channel once, showed him how to run OBS properly, helped design a basic layout, and he told me, "Bro, you're killing the vibe. I don't want a job." Every time he failed something, they spun it into a mental health break. Every time I said no, I was heartless or acting better than everyone. When I got promoted and bought myself a used Supra, my dream car since I was a teenager, I didn't even tell them right away. I just posted a picture on Instagram. I knew if they saw it, they'd call. And they did. Next day, I get a message from my dad. "Your brother's really struggling. Letting him use the Supra could help him feel capable again." I thought it was a joke. I literally laughed when I read it. Then the calls started. My mom cried. Dad went full, "You wouldn't have that car without the roof we gave you." Rayon messaged me saying I'm selfish. This was 6 months ago. I blocked all 3 of them that night. I was done. No speech, no argument. Just gone. They didn't even try to apologize. Instead, they started texting my uncle, then my cousin, told everyone I'd abandoned the family and turned my back after all they'd done for me. I started getting vague Facebook posts from extended family saying crap like, "Some people forget who raised them." Only one person reached out and asked what really happened. My cousin Jack, solid dude, always saw through their nonsense. When I told him everything, he said, "Good. You should have left years ago." He's the only one who actually stood up for me. Anyway, this was the point where I thought I could finally breathe. Start over. Focus on work, stack my savings, maybe invest or launch something small. Then my grandpa died. And everything changed. Because when the will got read, let's just say the golden child was expecting gold, and he got dust. My grandpa passed about 4 months ago. He was the only adult in my life who didn't treat me like I was a walking wallet or a backup plan. He was quiet, super sharp, used to run a hardware store for like 30 years before he sold it and retired. Never flashy, never loud, but always fair. He'd never say it outright, but I know he saw what was happening in our house. Every time I visited him, especially after I moved out, he'd pull me aside and say stuff like, "You're doing the hard part. Keep going. Don't let them drain you." He didn't name names. He didn't have to. Anyway, he dies. Funeral happens. The whole family shows up. Cousins I haven't seen in years. Aunts who always talked about me like I was too serious because I didn't show up to every BBQ. My parents are in full PR mode, acting devastated while also constantly talking about Rayon's plans and how hard it's been for him lately. I just sat in the back, quiet, didn't even say much. I was still holding on to that Supra comment from a few weeks ago, honestly. Then came the will. Now, I wasn't expecting anything crazy. I figured maybe a few grand, maybe some old tools or something sentimental. But turns out Grandpa was sitting on a lot more than people realized. He'd sold his store for a solid 7 figures back in the day and invested half of it into real estate and dividend stocks. Dude never changed his lifestyle. Still drove an old Toyota. Still wore flannel button-ups from Walmart. But apparently he'd been building quietly for years. When the lawyer sat us all down and read the will, it was dead quiet. Everyone leaning forward like they were about to win the lottery. Grandpa split everything 4 ways. His 2 kids, my dad and aunt, and his 2 grandkids, me and Rayon. Equal parts. I got $500,000. So did Rayon. My dad and aunt got equal shares of the rest, about the same amount each. I was stunned. I didn't expect it. I hadn't asked for it. But I also knew right then why he'd done it. I'd shown up. I'd taken care of him when he was sick one weekend and nobody else did. I fixed his gutters. I ran errands for him. And he knew I was always the one who stood on my own. He didn't hand me anything. But now, when he was gone, he left me enough to finally breathe. Everyone just kind of nodded at first. My aunt looked relieved. My cousins gave polite smiles. My dad? He looked like he swallowed a lemon. My mom looked around like someone was going to jump up and say, "Just kidding." Rayon? He didn't even look grateful. He leaned back and said, "Nice. Gonna get a Tesla and maybe try that clothing brand idea again? This idiot didn't even have a debit card last month, and he's talking about building a brand. After the reading, my parents pulled me aside. In the hallway, my mom looked fake upset, like she was forcing tears. My dad just got to the point. We think the will was unfair. I stared at him. What? You have a career. You're doing well. Rayon's had a harder time. We think it would make sense for you to give your share to him, or at least most of it. I laughed. I swear I didn't mean to. It just came out. Full-on short exhale with a head shake. That's not happening. My mom stepped in with the usual guilt trip. Sam, think about how much we've done for you. We supported you when you lived at home. We paid for your braces. We always made sure you had what you needed. What I needed? They made me pay rent when I was 19 and between semesters. Rayon's 25 and hasn't paid a single bill in his life. I said, this is Grandpa's will. Not mine, not yours. He made the decision. You want to argue with it? Talk to his lawyer. That's when my dad dropped the line that set everything off. I'm the executor. I can handle things how I see fit. He said it so confidently, like he already made moves behind my back. I asked what that meant, and he just kept repeating it. I'm handling it. Don't worry about the technicals. Handling it apparently meant redirecting my entire inheritance to Rayon. I found out 2 days later from my cousin Jack. He was there when my dad called the lawyer and tried to interpret Grandpa's wishes and reassign my half to Rayon, claiming that if Grandpa had known Rayon's struggles, he would have adjusted things. This man was trying to override a legal will based on pure vibes and favoritism. I texted my parents immediately. No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. I called the lawyer. He said he couldn't say much but confirmed that there's an issue being raised regarding allocation. Rayon posted on Instagram a day later, flexing in front of a rented Corvette with a caption like, "We up now." No mention of Grandpa, no mention of anything. Just fake clothes. I was done. I contacted the lawyer directly and asked for a full breakdown of my rights. I still had the original copy of Grandpa's will that he'd shown me months ago. He'd told me, I know your dad. If he pulls anything, don't be afraid to fight back. I made it legal. He wasn't lying. There was a no contest clause in the will. Anyone who tried to dispute or alter the division forfeited their share. My dad didn't know about it, or maybe he forgot. Either way, I now had leverage. And I wasn't playing nice anymore. After finding out my dad was trying to hand my inheritance over to Rayon like it was Monopoly money, I gave it a day to cool off. I figured maybe they'd realize how stupid they sounded and walk it back. Maybe my mom would text something passive-aggressive like she usually does, and I'd ignore it, and that'd be that. But nope. Radio silence. Then I get a text from Jack. He's my cousin, solid dude, always kept it real with me. One of the few family members who didn't buy into my parents' whole Sam's cold and distant story. He texts, Yo, you need to talk to Grandma. Your dad's about to do something real shady. So I call Grandma, my grandpa's widow. She picks up like she's been waiting for it. She doesn't even say hello, just, you heard about the will stuff? I go, yeah, Dad's trying to reassign my inheritance to Rayon. She goes dead quiet, then says, that man has lost his mind. Apparently, my parents had already tried this years ago. Way before Grandpa passed, they'd asked him directly to leave everything to Rayon because Sam's doing fine. Grandpa said no. Not just no, hell no. He told Grandma he wasn't about to reward laziness and punish effort. He even went one step further. He added a clause to his will that stated if anyone contested the equal distribution, they'd forfeit their share. So if my dad tried to change the distribution or reassign money from one person to another, boom, he's out. I just sat there holding the phone like, did Grandpa see all this coming? Turns out he did. Grandma also told me Grandpa left her a copy of the will, a clean signed one. Not just a draft. It had the clause. It had all 4 names. No gray areas. She said, he told me if your father tried anything, hand this over to the lawyer. You were the only one who ever helped us. He knew where his money should go. I'm not even gonna lie. I had to sit down after that. I didn't cry or anything, but damn, it hit me. This man never raised his voice. Never talked trash. Never made a scene. But when it mattered, he left a legal trap for the exact people trying to screw me. So now I had options. But first I needed to confirm. Was my dad actually pushing this with the lawyer, or just bluffing to bully me into handing it over? I called Jack, asked what he saw. He told me my dad was straight up trying to reinterpret Grandpa's wishes by saying Rayon's unique struggles weren't properly accounted for, that he was reallocating my $500,000 to Rayon, and claiming I would have wanted that too. Brother, I literally hadn't spoken to them in weeks. And now I want to give $500,000 to the guy who tried to crash my Supra and never said thanks for anything? I called the lawyer. At first, the guy was cold. Said he couldn't give personal details without clearance. But once I told him Grandma had a copy of the will and I had reason to believe the executor was misusing power, his tone changed. He asked me to email over the copy from Grandma. I did. Within 2 hours, he emailed back. Thank you, Sam. The copy you sent matches the version in our files. I will ensure it is enforced as written. Rest assured, no changes will be made. Boom. My dad was toast. He didn't know I had a copy. He didn't know I'd talked to Grandma. He definitely didn't know I'd already been in contact with the firm handling the estate. But I wasn't done. I sent a group message to my dad, my mom, and Rayon. Simple. No emotion. Grandpa's will stands. I've spoken to the lawyer. I know about the clause. If you contest it, you lose your share. This is done. That's it. No arguing. No threats. Just the facts. 10 minutes later, my dad calls. I don't pick up. Then I get the following text. You're seriously choosing money over family? Thought you were better than this. Dude, you literally tried to steal $500,000 from your own son and give it to the unemployed freeloader you've been coddling for 25 years. And I'm the one choosing money over family? Rayon posts some vague thing on his story like, money shows you who's real. Yeah, real broke if you thought you were getting my half. Then my mom sends the guilt text. We're all hurting. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Lady, you watched him try to rob me and said nothing. At this point, Jack jumps in. He messages me like, yo, if they try to twist this at the next family dinner, I've got your back. He starts posting stuff on his story too. Nothing direct, just enough that the people who know. A few days pass, and my dad's plan completely collapses. The lawyer won't entertain any reallocations. The clause gets enforced, and I get confirmation that the funds will be distributed as intended. Exactly $500,000. All mine. My dad and mom? Their shares are safe only because they backed off, but they're bitter. I can feel it in every text. My mom keeps trying to spin it like I brought the family's dirty laundry outside because I talked to Jack and Grandma. My dad acts like I betrayed him, like he was the victim here. And Rayon? He's still silent. Probably too busy trying to figure out how to afford that Tesla now. Me? I'm chilling. Quiet. Calm. Focused. But they made one big mistake. They made this personal. And I'm not just walking away. After that group text went out and the lawyer confirmed my share was secure, you'd think things would calm down. But nah, my parents don't operate on logic. They run on control. And the second I proved I had some, they started spiraling. But I didn't engage. Not anymore. No angry calls. No voice notes. No texting back. I did what I always do. Kept my head down and worked. The first thing I did with the inheritance wasn't flashy. I didn't run out and buy a Lambo or post a "we made it" picture on Instagram. I called my bank and opened a second account at a different institution. New savings. No ties to the old one. I started moving the funds in chunks, just under the transfer limits, clean and secure. I wasn't going to risk my dad trying to get slick somehow. Then I called my financial guy. Explained everything. Guy's name is Miguel. He's chill. Straight shooter. Said, first thing you need to do is protect it. Lock it down so no one else can claim any part of it. Trust, shield, the whole nine. I set up a living trust in my name, with everything tied to it. Cash, car, investments, even my existing emergency fund. Made sure my parents' names were nowhere on anything, not even as beneficiaries if I get hit by a truck. Then I made one more call. I'd been renting this decent 2-bedroom near the edge of town, nothing special, but it was enough. Still, I figured now was the time to go bigger. I wanted a place that was mine. Not flashy, not in your face, just mine. Found a clean townhouse with a garage and a private rooftop. View wasn't insane or anything, but it was peaceful. Put down 40%, finance the rest. All under the trust. 3 weeks later, I was moved in, and I didn't tell a single soul. They still thought I was in the old rental. That's what made it beautiful. Meanwhile, back in family land, the campaign against me had started. Jack texted me screenshots. Group chats where my mom was painting me as ungrateful, saying I'd turned cold, that I was being manipulated by Grandma and outside influence. Dad said I'd lost my moral compass and was obsessed with money. The best one? My aunt, who I used to babysit for free, said I was acting just like the people who don't value family over finances. Wild how family only comes up when they want money. They didn't stop there. They started calling my job. Not like, Reporting me or anything illegal, just subtle. My mom called reception and left a message saying it was urgent. I was in a meeting when I saw the email from HR. A family member tried to contact you? Everything okay? I knew what that was. It wasn't an emergency. It was a poke, a reminder. We still know where you work. Then came the final play. One night, Jack calls me. He's pissed. They're trying to use Grandpa's house as leverage, saying they're entitled to rent payments from you since it benefits you emotionally. I had to ask him to repeat that. They were trying to argue that because Grandpa's house was a place I made memories in, I owed them something for the emotional value. I laughed for like a full minute. Then I realized they were serious. So I took it up a level. I emailed the estate attorney and asked him to put in writing that no one, not the executor, not the family, not any random cousin, had any legal right to ask me for financial compensation of any kind related to the inheritance or family property. I wanted it in writing. He sent me a 2-page PDF that basically boiled down to, Sam doesn't owe you squat. I printed it, signed it, mailed copies to my parents, certified. Same for my aunt. No return address, just the letter, folded, clean. Let them stew. A few days after they got it, I got one last message from a random number. You're no son of mine. Don't come around when you lose everything. I saved the message. Didn't reply. They still think I'm gonna lose. Like I need them. Like they've got something on me. They've never seen what I can do when I'm silent. Jack's the only one who stayed in my corner. He came by the new place last week, saw the setup. First thing he said, Bro, you did this clean. We sat on the rooftop, had pizza, just chilled. No drama. No noise. He said, They're still trying to turn people against you, but everyone's seeing through it now. I said, let them talk. They wanted to make this about money. So now, it is. But I'm not just protecting mine anymore. I'm about to cut them off completely. So the "you're no son of mine" text came in, and I read it like I was reading spam. Didn't even blink. Didn't feel anything. Just saved it in a folder I labeled family drama, legal trash in case I ever needed receipts. That was it. Last message. Final straw. No contact wasn't some big event for me. No speech, no letters. I just stopped replying. Blocked everything. Phone, email, socials. My job already knew to redirect anything family-related straight to junk. They were officially cut off, and almost immediately, everything started falling apart. About 2 weeks into silence, I get a text from Jack. Bro, your dad's been calling around asking for short-term loans. Like bad. Turns out I was the only one keeping them afloat. All the years I'd been sending little bits to help with groceries or rent or Rayan's nonsense. Yeah, that wasn't helping. That was patching holes in a ship that was already sinking. The first major hit? The house. They'd refinanced it 2 years ago and barely kept up with payments. My dad figured once I got promoted, I'd help out with the mortgage like a good son, which I did, for about 6 months. $400 a month, direct deposit to my mom's account. No questions asked. I stopped that too. Quietly. They missed a payment the next month, then 2. By the 3rd, they were calling my aunt, asking if she could lend a little to help bridge a gap. Aunt called Jack. Jack called me. They said it's just temporary, and you'll come around. They're acting like this is a phase. I told him, they're gonna find out the hard way it's permanent. Rayan, of course, didn't step up. He's still jobless, still posting fake motivational quotes on his Instagram stories like, protect your peace and real ones move different over pictures of cars he doesn't own. Meanwhile, I know for a fact he tried applying for a small business loan using a GoDaddy landing page for a clothing brand that doesn't exist. My mom started texting Jack now, since I blocked her. Sam is punishing all of us because of old feelings. We're his family. Jack sent me screenshots. I told him not to reply. Then the real twist hit. Apparently my parents were still telling people I was helping them financially, even after I cut them off. At some family get-together, one I wasn't invited to, obviously, they were telling relatives that I was working things out privately and would come around soon, trying to save face. Except Jack was there. And Jack? Jack doesn't play dumb. He called them out in front of everyone, asked them what bills I was paying now, asked why they were spreading lies. My aunt, who used to side with them, texted me after that. Just wanted to say I'm sorry I believed them over you. You've done more than enough. One by one, people started backing off them. Not all of them. Some relatives are still fake loyal. But enough. The tide turned. Then the worst part, for them, hit. My grandma called me. Not Grandpa's widow. My mom's mom. The one who usually stayed out of things. She never really spoke up. Always neutral. But she called me crying. Your mom told me she needed money for medication. I gave her $800. Then I found out she spent $600 on a course for Rayan. I told her the truth. Everything. How they tried to take my inheritance. How they pushed me out. How they lied. She was silent for like a full minute. I'm cutting her off. I've helped her too many times. This is shameful. That was the moment I knew it was over. They burned every single bridge they had. With me, with Jack, with Grandma, with half the family. And they still don't think they did anything wrong. That same week, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Rayan. You think money makes you better? You're still the same lonely freak from high school. You just hide behind bank accounts now. I read it twice, screenshot it, and added it to the legal trash folder. Didn't respond. This is the same guy who never paid for his own car insurance and once stole my headphones and sold them to his friend for gas money. Now he's trying to shame me for not funding his failures. A month later, I hear from Jack again. They're selling furniture, pawned the TV, posted the living room couch on Facebook Marketplace. Dad's trying to land some freelance consulting gigs, but doesn't even know how to write a resume anymore. Mom is teaching life coaching online and charging people $50 an hour for her advice. I've been quiet this whole time. I haven't gloated. I haven't messaged them. I haven't said a thing, but last week, I sent one message. Not to them, just to Jack. They built this house of cards. I just stopped holding it up. It's been 6 months since I cut them off. 6 months since I stopped picking up their guilt calls, stopped wiring over rent money, stopped being the son they only remembered when something broke or needed a deposit. And the fallout? It's been slow, but brutal. Not just because they lost the money, but because they lost the illusion of control. Jack kept me updated here and there. I didn't ask. He just knew I'd want to hear the final result. The house? Gone. They defaulted on the mortgage after 4 missed payments. Apparently, they thought they could work something out with the bank if they just bought time. They were expecting another miracle bailout from me. When it didn't come, reality hit them like a truck. The foreclosure notice hit the mailbox. They tried to stall. Didn't work. Jack said they begged his parents to co-sign a loan to cover the arrears. They said no. First time ever. They had to move in with one of my mom's cousins. Rayan threw a fit because there was no Wi-Fi and the mattress was like sleeping on wood. Next, their car got repossessed. They'd leased it under my dad's name, and without that emergency cushion I used to provide, they fell behind real fast. Jack said he saw my mom post on Facebook asking if anyone was selling a car on payments. She even used the crying emoji. Meanwhile, I've been silent. Peaceful. Building. I finished setting up my own LLC, bought into a small property with a friend from work, started working with a financial planner to grow what I have instead of just surviving like I used to. The Supra, still mine, still clean, still untouched by freeloaders. Then last month, the final card fell. Grandma passed. Yeah, my mom's mom. The only person on her side who had even a little sympathy left for her. The one they bled dry for years with fake stories and guilt. Her will? Simple, mostly sentimental stuff. Jewelry, some savings, nothing huge. But there was one line that changed everything. To my grandson Sam, I leave my wedding ring and the contents of the safety deposit box. They didn't even know she had one. Turns out she'd quietly saved up about $40,000 over the years. She left it all to me. No speech, no explanation. Just trusted me to handle it. When my mom found out, Jack said she cried in front of everyone at the family gathering. Full meltdown. He manipulated her. She didn't mean that. They tried to contest the will. The lawyer shut it down before they even got to court. Grandma had every document squared up, notarized, and airtight. That's when the calls started again. Blocked numbers, unknown IDs, random emails with, "Can we just talk?" in the subject. I didn't reply to a single one. Then came the worst one. And by worst, I mean the most pathetic. Rayan messaged Jack and asked him to ask me if I'd be willing to front him $10,000 to launch a podcast/brand. The guy who crashed my car, tried to take my inheritance, and mocked me for working a 9-to-5, was now begging for seed money. Jack sent me the screenshot. No caption, just the message. I didn't laugh. I just shook my head and blocked the number again. They finally saw what life looks like when the guy you treat like an ATM stops playing along. And I didn't have to yell. I didn't have to post about it. I didn't have to blow up. All I did was step back and let the rot collapse on itself. I still live in the townhouse. I upgraded the gaming rig I built at 13 into a beast of a setup. Full RGB, triple monitor, 4090 card, soundproofed walls. I game in peace now. I still meet up with Jack every other week. We talk about life, business, future. He always ends our hangs with the same line. You did it right, man. You didn't burn the bridge. You just stopped holding it up.